Welcome back to my channel. I haven't come up with a specific name for it yet, but we'll work on that. So today I wanted to do a haul video. So I like books, hence, the channel, the shirt. Once upon a time, and there was a girl who really loved running in books. It was me. The end. I know you can't see that part down there. But I haven't purchased a lot of books lately. I love the library. I've used the library a lot. I used to have over 600 books, but several years ago, went through them, kept only the books that I really, really liked, and that I thought were high quality. Recently, I decided, after a spur-of-the-moment trip to Barnes & Noble just to look around, see what was there, I wanted to upgrade some of my books. Well, part of that did come from watching the Potter Collector videos and seeing all the cool stuff that he does with his books, and just really wanting quality editions. So I got 3 then. I'm not going to show them in this haul because they were separate. A couple days later, I'm like, I really want to do that for the rest of them. And so I did. I spent over an hour looking online at all of their stuff and bought a bunch of books. And then when I saw the delivery date, I thought, oh, I'll just count this as a birthday present for myself. And then a few days later, I was going through my budget, finally, and saw this amount there and went, I think I'll buy some more books. And so now we have all of the books that you can't yet see. Well, you can see a little bit over here in this corner, but all of the books that I got for my haul. Now, I should have done this video a while ago, but I'm doing it now so that I can, before I get my new camera, really excited about that, so that I can put these on the shelf. Maybe I'll do a bookshelf tour. Not sure because my bed's right in front of one of my bookshelves, but we'll see. So, to the book haul. One of the things that I love about Barnes & Noble is the quality of their classics editions. I have a lot of classics, and I have it in their regular paperback version. So I'm going to start with those. These are classics that I had, so I've read them. Just because it's a classic doesn't mean you're going to like it. And there are a lot of classics that I do not like. Russian literature, don't get me started. But these were ones that I had, and I'd gone through Amazon and gotten them and thought, I'm just going to get the cheapest one. So they weren't necessarily the highest quality. They hadn't been loved as well, or maybe they'd been too loved. And so I decided to replace them so they all look consistent. If I ever do a bookshelf tour, you'll see all of my classics look like these or like these that you'll see in a second. So in that set, I have Robinson Crusoe. I have The Federalist. Now, there were a few that I wasn't able to find Barnes & Noble versions, like the Anti-Federalist, which bothers me because they come in a pair. But, got The Federalist and other writings. We have Uncle Tom's Cabin. The version I had before was falling apart. Definitely needed a better version. One thing that I like about these is some of the things that they put in the back. They have comments and questions. And some of them have more commentary and discussion questions and things that go along with them. And I really like that. And then we have the Canterbury Tales. Now, I had a good quality edition of it, but it wasn't the Barnes & Noble edition. And I like consistency and symmetry and all that kind of stuff. Okay. Now, the other thing that I really love is Barnes & Noble has collector's editions, leather bound or what they call deluxe editions. I think it's actually faux leather, but 2 of the smaller ones that were individual books that I have like this, and I can't believe I did not have To Kill a Mockingbird before. This is not faux leather, it's wood, okay? On the front, you have Scout. On the back, you have Atticus, and you have the 2 kids. I love the quality of this. I love the simplicity of it. And no, I am never going to read Ghost of the Watchman. The other single edition that I have is actually one of my favorites. It is Jane Eyre. Okay, this is one of the leather-bound, the faux leather-bound ones. Okay? So Jane Eyre, I've actually really, really loved since I first read it in high school. And the version I had, I think it was a Penguins Classic version. It was okay. But when I saw this cover, oh, I just love it. Okay. Now, most of the leather-bound editions are collections, which are new to my library, or replacements for ones that I already had. Okay? So we'll start off with the replacements. And we have the Iliad and the Odyssey. I had two separate versions of this. First read them in high school. Yes, I'm a nerd. I love the designs on these books. Okay? So you've got both front and back cover. And you've got, evokes the pottery. I just love it. Okay? So now the end plates are the same, front and back, on all of them, I believe. Next we have the complete Sherlock Holmes. Okay? We've got the classic Sherlock Holmes symbols here, and then designs, and on the back we have a key. Okay? And on the side, on the spine, we have a lock. I mean, so cool. Next we have William Shakespeare. Again, I already had the complete works of Shakespeare, but it was the version that I had to buy for when I studied Shakespeare in grad school. It's fine. Those were not my favorite classes. Not because of Shakespeare, because of the teacher. But the design on this, I just love. And we've got what looks a little bit like a crest on the back. And then, again, I didn't show the end papers on the Sherlock Holmes one, but I'll show the end papers here. Nice design, like the crest. Okay. Next we have the Divine Comedy, Dante. I had one of the, I guess you'd call it books or parts, but I didn't have the whole thing. So now I do. I have the Divine Comedy. We've got our protagonists. We've got the end papers. Nice design. Most of the design is on the covers. And then here we've got the circles. So, well designed. Then we have Complete Tales and Poems of Edgar Allan Poe. This is as creepy as I get. I don't do horror. I don't do thrillers. Poe is as creepy as I get. He's pretty creepy. But Poe is as creepy as I get. So, one thing that's interesting about this, you can't see it, but this circle here with the raven on it is raised. And it looks like right here where the feathers are, like it's breaking through that circle. I don't know the intention of the design, but it does. You can see the reflection. It's a little bit shiny. Not my favorite. I wish they hadn't gone with this like photo paper material for the design on this. But on the back, we have the famous quote, "Quoth the raven, nevermore." And the last of the repeats, one of my all-time favorite classics, I'd say it's second to the Scarlet Pimpernel. Now, I already have the Scarlet Pimpernel, so I didn't buy that one. The Count of Monte Cristo. I love The Count of Monte Cristo. It's been a while since I've read it, so I'm not as, the symbolism in there is not in the tip of my tongue. But I think this is the prison here. We've got treasure, obviously. We've got a crest down here. On the back, we've got the ship. And I forgot to show the end paper on Poe, but here's the end paper on the Count of Monte Cristo. Now, I have some new books in that same design. They're new to me, but I'm familiar with a lot of the stuff. So first off, we have Beauty and the Beast and other classic fairy tales. I love fairy tales. I think they're fantastic, even if they are a whole lot darker in the original telling. Since Beauty and the Beast is the title fairy tale, they have prominence right here, and I just realized it. This picture is the same material as the raven. It's raised a little bit. And again, that makes it shiny, and to me it feels like it takes away from the quality, because you can see on the back, I've got a whole bunch of other illusions here. On the back, you've got pictures, but it's the same. It's hard to describe, but it's built into the wood of the book here. But then got some nice end plates here. We'll just check. I hadn't actually looked at the end plates on this one. Yeah, it's the same in the back. Okay. Then we have A Treasury of Classic Poetry. I will admit, classic poetry is not my favorite. It's the poetry I studied in high school that set me off of poetry, and I thought, oh, I hate poetry. I don't actually hate poetry because I've been teaching it for a few years, and I found really good poems that fit, like that the kids would like. And so I have it in here because, I mean, it's a classic and it looks pretty, and poetry can be very useful, and maybe now that I've gained a new appreciation, I'll like this one better. And so let's take a look at the end plates. Oh, nice little leaves inside. Carries on the design of the front, which is basically the design of the back. I think I just chose a generic nature theme for that because it's just poetry. Now, my next set, it's 5 books. They're localized myths and fairy tales and things like that into collections. From what I can tell, and I'm not an expert on this, but from what I can tell, the designs look appropriate to where these myths and fairy tales and poems were taken. I don't know, and I'm hoping that it's not cultural appropriation. It's one of the things I thought about when I purchased it, but from what I can see, it fits and it's tasteful and it's not cultural appropriation. But I'm not an expert on that. Okay, so first off, classic mythology. I love classic mythology. Okay, so we don't have to worry about cultural appropriation there. They're long gone. Okay? Excuse the plane flying overhead. Not sure why I pointed at the window because it's up there. Okay, so you've got a lot of symbols of classic mythology. You've got some more on the back. And then the end plates. I'm not necessarily a fan of the imagery, but this is classic art. Okay? Medusa's head. Now that I know more about the myth of Medusa, she's made out to be a villain, but I'll have to go into that sometime. And it's the same image here on the back plate. I wish they'd done more of this sort of design on these, but it is nice that they used Renaissance art for that. Now we get into the cultural collections. And first of those, we have A Treasury of Irish Fairy and Folktales. I'm actually intrigued about this one. I love Ireland. Okay, so we've got some really nice Celtic designs on here. You can see the harp. Nice simple designs. And this is actually the first time I've looked at this. It is a more of an image, and I like this one better than the Gods and Heroes, even though they're both images and not designs. And I think it's because of the muted colors. But there's mythological creatures in there as well. I saw mermaids, didn't look at it too in depth. Next, we have Tales of Norse Mythology. Right? It does affect a lot of the mythology, the high fantasy that I love, like Lord of the Rings, because this was an area of study for Tolkien, or at least how the effects of Norse mythology on the Germanic tribes that came over, and he looked into those early Germanic tribes that came over to England. So we got the front, we've got the back, nice design, and then we've got the end plate. So these tend to be the same. And again, we got the images, and I like this one again better than the Gods and Heroes, probably just because of the color scheme. I think it fits better. Next, we have these are the two that I was most worried about. Native American myths and legends. I've been trying to educate myself more on Native American culture, and it is so diverse and so beautiful and deep, and just the things that I had been exposed to prior to this, skated over, mashed them all together as one. So I'm a little bit wary of this because I don't know how many tribes they pulled from, if they made it seem like all of the tribes went together. So we'll see. If it's problematic, I will give it away. But we'll see. And I'll probably talk about that. And we've got a nice, simple design for the end plate. Okay? That's nice. So here's the back. And then lastly, we have Chinese myths and folktales. Okay? The imagery does not seem cartoonish. It seems in the authentic style. But I'm not an expert on this. Okay? And then plate. I do like that for these they did not try to choose an image. I like that they have just the design. Okay, so that was my first haul. Then, I should say the first part of my haul. Then I went on and I decided I'm going to get as many books off my Amazon wish list. And I'm going to just get as many of them as I can for the amount that I have in my budget. So in this category, okay, I'm going to do series next. Multiple series, but I've never figured out how to say the plural of that. Okay, so the first of those are the Jasper Fforde Thursday Next series. I love the Thursday Next series. I read it years ago. I just love the concept. I love the world that he built for Thursday Next. You know, one thing in history has changed. The Crimean War never ended. And another thing, you have these literary detectives and they're able to go into books. And the whole premise of the first book, An Eyre Affair, is that she goes into Jane Eyre and changes the ending. But the thing is, it's so funny because what she changes the ending to is the ending that we know. So I love that. And Jasper Fforde was able to keep that up for the rest of the series. And I've had them on my wish list for forever. I just haven't purchased them. I have the Eyre Affair. So now I have the rest of the series. So I have The Woman Who Died a Lot. Sorry, not Thursday Next. First Among Sequels. So my guess is that this is book 2. Again, I read them years ago. Lost in a Good Book. And I love his titles. His wordplay. That's something I absolutely love. Something Rotten. The Well of Lost Plots. Maybe that's where all my plots have gone. Why I haven't been able to write anything. And then One of Our Thursdays is Missing. Okay, so that's an adult series. The others are kids series. Now, the next one that I have, the first 4 or 5 of them are actually in my classroom library because I took them there. But that's where the rest of this series is. So I mentioned that I love wordplay. So, since I've taught middle school and I love wordplay, obviously, series of unfortunate events. Anyway, so we have, here starting with book 6. Yeah, it's the first 4 that are at school. Book 5 is back on my shelf. I don't know how I missed that. But we have book 6, The Ersatz Elevator. Book 7, The Vile Village. Book 8, The Hostile Hospital. The Carnivorous Carnival. The Slippery Slope. The Grim Grotto. And The End. One thing that I do love about these books is the way that they're packaged. I love the hardcover without the slip jacket. The it's not leather, but it's soft paper on the binding, and just the frayed edges look. I love that. Now I'm going to briefly dip into another category because I'm talking about these. I like to purchase books in Spanish as well to help me keep up with my Spanish, and I tend to purchase middle grades books because my Spanish reading level is not on the level of adult literature. One thing that I did was I purchased the series of Unfortunate Events, and I kept, purchasing the next ones, and then I couldn't find any more. And I got to book 6, and I couldn't find them, and I figured, okay, they stopped publishing them. I actually managed to find book 7 and 8, La Villa Ville, Vile Village, and El Hospital Hostil, Hospital. But these are the last in the series that they translated to Spanish. They did not translate the rest of the series. There are some available out there, but they're fan translations. And one of the problems with the series of Unfortunate Event books being translated is there is so much wordplay that it gets lost in the translation. And there's so much of it that I understand why it was difficult to publish. And they maybe didn't sell as well. Okay. The next series. Lloyd Alexander. Okay. So we've got The Golden Dream of Carlo Cuccio. Okay. And then I have the Prydain Chronicles. I don't know how to pronounce that, but let's go with Prydain. As I discussed in my first video, I entered fantasy through Narnia. The next fantasy that I read that I forgot about until I saw these on Amazon was The Chronicles of Prydain. Okay? The Book of 3, I just pulled this out. This is raised foiling. Love it. Raised foiling. So the Book of 3 was the next one I picked up. I read the Prydain Chronicles prior to Lord of the Rings. So it was almost like gradual step up. Narnia, Prydain Chronicles, Lord of the Rings. I don't know about gradual, but whatever. I loved them. I checked them all out from my school library. I never thought to purchase them for my own collection, which I don't know why, but I got the box set. Okay, got all 5. Let's pull them out and see if the foiling's different. Yes, the foiling is different colors on each of the individual books. We have silver. We have green. Wow. Purple. And let's see what the last one is. Oops. Gold. That's fitting. We end on gold. So it looks like this. Oh, wow. This was a Newbery Award winner. Nice. I like that. Okay. So, and then my last series that I purchased is another one that I love. I had a set of it, and I don't remember what prompted me to get rid of it. I think it was just a low quality set, and the books were falling apart. And that is Anne of Green Gables. I love Anne of Green Gables. I actually think I watched the CBC movies first. I loved those. I love Anne. I have not seen the Netflix adaptation. I've heard that it doesn't live up to the CBC versions, but I loved this version of it, and I'm going to keep them in the slipcase. This is the most design that you get here on the cover, and it's the same on both sides. A lot of people have complained that it's not all of them, and then because there's technically 8 books in the series, but 2 of them were published later and fit in a different order chronologically. The set that I have goes in publication order. You know how much I like that. The individual books themselves, they're cloth bound, and they've got simple designs on them. I love that. It seems more authentic to how L.M. Montgomery's books would have felt when they're initially published, and the pages feel like high quality pages. They've got a little bit of a slippery feel to them. High quality pages. Love it. Okay, next category, books in Spanish. So I already showed you 2 of them, Series of Unfortunate Events. Okay, so I will admit that 2 of these I bought because I'm obsessed with Harry Potter. I already own all of the Harry Potter books in Spanish, but then I discovered the illustrated editions, they also publish in Spanish. In this particular haul, I only bought the first 2 because for some reason the second 2 were more expensive and didn't have Prime shipping. Probably pay for that later. But we've got Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Big books. And Harry Potter y la Cámara Secreta. The Secret Chamber? Yeah, Secret Chamber. Wow, I need to turn in my Potterhead card. Chamber of Secrets. I'm sorry. Okay, I was translating it directly in my head. Okay. Cámara Secreta directly translates to Secret Chamber. That's why it didn't sound right. Sorry about that. Chamber of Secrets. Now, the other ones are books that I want to read as an to build up my fluency. Most of my books in Spanish are actually in my classroom library because I still do teach a lot of multilingual students, students who speak Spanish as a first language, and our district has decided we're not going to give them books in Spanish because we want them to learn English, and the only thing they can check out of the library are these kiddie books that have both English and Spanish in them. I just want them to be reading, so I put them in my own classroom library. That is why I purchased this one here, A Wrinkle in Time. This is A Wrinkle in Time. Not only is it in Spanish, but it's also a graphic novel. Okay? I am going to read this. I think the graphic novel format will help me. Madeleine L'Engle's books have never been my favorite, but they're good quality books. They're popular. They've persisted throughout the years, so I'll give it a chance. The other 2 are both Ruta Sepetys. Sepetys? I don't know how to say her name, but I've read her books in English. They're high quality. They're historical fiction. I like them, so I got the translated versions. I think this is Salt to the Sea, although this translates literally to Tears in the Sea. But my guess is that it's Salt to the Sea. And then we have Las Fuentes del Silencio, Fountains of Silence. That's the literal translation. I'm not as familiar with her book titles. Salt to the Sea I've read in English. I need to get Entre Tonos de Gris. You can say this is from the author. Between Shades of Gray. So that's the Spanish section. I have 1 section left and 1 outlier book. Okay, my 1 outlier book is a book that I can't believe that I didn't have in my own personal library because I have purchased this before. I don't have it. So I had to buy it. Team of Rivals, Doris Kearns Goodwin. Okay? Love Doris Kearns Goodwin. I think I actually held this book up in my first video. So I have that one. That's the one outlier. So I mentioned that I love Lord of the Rings. Absolutely love it. So in that vein, the first one I have here is a biography of Tolkien. So it's not something that Tolkien has written, but it is about J.R.R. Tolkien. Now, I have to decide the order that I'm going to show these. Okay, I'll start with the first one. Let's go chronologically. We have The Silmarillion. Yes, I did read that in high school. Okay? It is all the versions that I got. I do already have them. These are more deluxe. They have illustrations sprinkled throughout the book. Okay? This one I just opened today. I am so excited about it. I don't know how this will come across on camera, but it's The Hobbit. The cover is lenticular. So I don't know how well it'll come across, but it looks actually 3D. And I misspoke. This is not actually the cover. This is the box that it's stored in. So you get to open up the box and you don't see the book yet. This is a CD that has Tolkien reading sections of The Hobbit. The Hobbit started as a bedtime story for his kids. Fantastic. This, I'm going to set the box down. I love maps. I love Lord of the Rings. There's plenty of those. Got a Lord of the Rings map. Also have a commemorative booklet celebrating the 80th anniversary. Haven't even had a chance to see what's actually in it. And then, finally, you have the book itself. I love it because it's not glossy paper. You can feel the paper. It feels authentic. Okay? And on the inside plate, you've got that same map that you've got. Just took off the dust jacket. I was going to see how absolutely amazing this is. I'm in love with this. Okay. So there's that. I can't remember whether this one had illustrations. This one, I don't think it has more than the illustrations that Tolkien already had in them. I love that he added his own illustrations. I love art of books. Okay. And then lastly, I have an all 3-in-1, 3 parts. It's not a trilogy. It's 3 parts of one book. Anyway, I have another 3 parts in 1 book version of Lord of the Rings. As I said in my last video, I'm not getting rid of the other one, but I wanted a nice quality copy that I'm going to take care of, unlike that copy that I left in my trunk for a few months. So the first thing you have is you have a clear cover that has a little bit on it. It has a little bit on the spine. And on the back, it's like the back of the book because it has the One Ring to rule them all. It has a summary. This edition contains 50 watercolor paintings by Alan Lee. Alan Lee did a lot of the artworks for the movie as well. The preset, like the concept art, that's the word I want. Alan Lee did a lot of the concept art. And they were specially commissioned to commemorate the centenary of Tolkien's birth, which I love. Then we have the book itself. Just look at it. We've got this beautiful scene right here. I mean, I say beautiful. It's beautifully drawn. It's a terrifying scene because we've got Mordor, and then right above my thumb is Gollum, and then cowering over to his left is Sam and Frodo. It's just beautifully drawn. On the back is just a landscape. So it's nice and thick. Okay? It has the same spine design that the clear slipcase has. And it does have these, the quality of the pages. It's thick, high quality pages. and it has the Alan Lee paintings sprinkled throughout. Now, because there's only 50 of them, and this is a very large book, it's not an illustrated book like you would necessarily expect. Love it. So, those are all my books.